tomorrow. Okay. Here we go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen up, please. Okay. So the first problem is saying you want to translate the figure to the right 2 units and to the right 2 units and up 4 units. So I want everyone right now, I'm going to highlight it. I want you to underline right 2. Everyone's doing that. Right 2. And I also want you to highlight up 4. So what I want everyone to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, is I want you to let's take A. So put your pencil on A. And we're going to take A and we're going to go right 2, up 4. This is a practice. We've been doing this before. We're going to do right 2, up 4. So if I go right 2, 1, 2, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be my new, and I'm going to call it A prime. The reason I'm calling it A prime is it's an image, not a pre-image. Sean, do you have a question?
There's an easier way to do translation.
There is, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. Now, then we're going to do the same thing with B prime. Okay? We're going to go right 2, up 4. Right 2, up 4. So we're going to go 2 to the right, up 4. And that's going to be right here. And this is going to be B prime. Okay? And then C, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go right 2, up 4. And then C prime is going to be right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a line right here. If you would like a straight edge and you're not going to abuse it, raise your hand, and I'll have Miss V give you guys a straight edge. Remember, you're using a straight edge to make straight lines. Raise your hand if you would like a straight edge. Please do not mess with it. Thank you, Miss V. Okay. All right. Now, while we are doing this, the next thing I want you to do play. All right, here we go. Aiden, see me after class, please, because I just don't want to deal with that. Right? You can see me after class. Okay. All right. So now, Sean brought a really good point up here, and I think I can read Sean's mind a little bit. So on number 2, so you should have number 1 already done. Now, one thing I want to emphasize on number 1, guys, is the pre-image and the image are exactly the same size. They're congruent to each other. You guys see that? The pre-image is congruent to the image. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to translate this new shape. And what I need you guys to do is I need you to underline how we're going to translate. Well, in this case, we're going to go left 3 and down 1. Okay, now, here's what I think Sean is saying. The first thing is you're going to need to move 1 point left 3, down 1. So I'm going to use the point S for Sean because Sean is I think the one that's kind of thinking about this. Okay, so I'm going to go to my S for Sean, and I'm going to move that point left 3, down 1. Okay, so I'm going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go down 1, and I'm going to put a point right here, and I'm going to call that S prime. That's S prime. Okay, now here's the deal. I think what Sean is saying is after that, you can just go measure on the pre-image. Is that what you're saying, Sean?
No, I was going to say you can subtract and then add.
Oh, yeah, you can do the math and subtract. Now, that's true. Yeah, that is a good point, Sean. Yep. And we won't go there, Sean, but if you're welcome to do that if you want. Okay, excellent. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure between S and W. Well, S and W is 3 units directly to the right. Do you guys understand that? Yeah. So S prime and S and V. I'm sorry, S and V. I need to know my letters, huh? The difference between S and V is 3 to the right. So the difference between S prime and V prime is 3 to the right also. So V prime is going to be right here. Do you guys see how I got that? I just measured 3 from S to V, and I went 3 from S prime to V prime. Now, another thing you can measure, if you notice from S to T, you go up 2, right 1 from get to S to V. You guys see that? Up 2, right 1. And then to get to S prime to T prime, you can do the same thing. You can go up 2, 1, 2, over 1. And so that's T prime right here. Okay, see that? I'm going to erase those little scoop-de-loops right there. Okay, any questions how I did that? Now look at the distance. You could either do U to V or T to U. I'm going to do T to U. And I noticed that the distance between the pre-image T to U is 2 to the right. So the pre-image between T prime and U prime is 2 to the right. So 1, 2. So it's right here. So U prime is going to be right here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make my shape. Now, you could move each point the way we did on number 1, or you can measure. It doesn't matter. Either way. Just a show of hands. How many like just moving the points each time and just graphing? Okay, excellent. How many of you like the measure method? How many like to measure? Okay, it sounds like more of you like to just move the points. That's completely fine. You could have moved T, U, S, and V, and then graphed it. Does everyone understand that? Are there any questions on that? Okay, excellent. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, now on this one you have to be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, listen up. It says identify the translation that moves the point to the origin. Now, you have to understand what the word origin means. Okay. The word origin, who can tell me where's the origin on this graph? Andrew, where's the origin on this graph? It's the very center. Okay. This green point is the origin. Now, sometimes we like to call it the point of origin. Point of origin, or poo, right? You guys understand that? It's the poo. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do we want to do? We want to move the P onto the poo. You guys understand that? See what we're trying to do here? We're taking P, which is our pre-image, and we're moving it onto the poo. P onto poo. Now, guys, we don't want to move poo onto P. We want to move P onto poo. Does everyone understand that? It's very different. So the P is our given point. Poo is the point of origin. P onto poo. So here we're going to do that, right? So how many do we have to go right or left to get the P? We got to go 3 to the right. So to get the P onto the poo, the first thing we need to do is go 3 to the right. That's our first translation. Then we have to go how many down? 1, 2. We have to go 2 down. 2 down. So you can always think of the origin as point of origin, or the poo, right? You guys see that? All right. Any questions there? And that's the answer. This is the answer right here. You don't have to write the word poo. Yep. 3 right, 2 down. Any questions there? Okay. Now, why am I emphasizing this? Because over the years, when I've done this problem with the kids, everyone wants to go from the origin to P. You're not starting at the poo and going to the P. You're starting at the P and going to the poo. Does everyone understand that? Why? Something funny, Sean? Why are you giggling about something? You're starting at the P and going to the poo. You're not starting at the poo and going to the P.
So, like, we're not starting at the poo to go to the P.
What?
So we're not starting at the poo to go to the P.
Correct. We are not starting at the poo to go to the P. We're starting the P to go to the poo.
Oh, I got you.
Got it. Okay. All right. Are we all clear? Okay, here we go. Let's do it. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Describe the translation from the original figure to its image. Now, the first thing I have to figure out here is I have to figure out which one is the image and which one is the pre-image. Could someone give me a suggestion which one is the image? The pre-image, because the pre-image is where we always start. Faith, which one is the pre-image? Faith, how do you know that this one right here is the pre-image? That's the image. Does everyone understand that? We always move from the pre-image to the image. Are there any questions there? So in this case, we're starting at the yellow and ending at the blue. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to do every single point. You just have to pick one of them because the other points are going to be exactly the same. So, JT, which one of those points on the yellow preimage would you like to use? I don't care. Which one? G. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how many do we have to move this way to get G to G prime? And how many do we have to move this way to get G to G prime? Okay. So how many do we have to move in what direction first, JT? You can count. How many did we have to move this way? You want me to count them for you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? What direction is that I moved? Okay, I went 6 right. Does everyone understand that? Now I'm not there yet, right? Because I'm trying to move G onto G prime. Pre-image G onto image G. You guys see that? Now I need to figure out how many I have to move down. How many is that, JT? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting 6, JT. So I'm going to go 6 down. Okay. Now it's going to be a lot easier for you to do on your paper than it is to do it on just the board, right? Sound good? Are there any questions on this, class? Guys, these are all testable questions. Julio is going to help me get this right. Okay, thank you, Julio. You're a good guy. All right, you're a good best friend. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this question for you, and this can be a little complicated, so pay attention. In fact, I'm going to read it. Normally, I'd have another student read it, but just because I'm recording this, I'll read it. A triangle is translated 5 units to the right and 2 units up. Then the image is translated 3 units to the left and 8 units down. Write a translation of the original triangle to the ending position. Okay. So I want to go back to number 4 really quick, and I want to remind you. Notice, guys, we didn't have to move H and I, right? H would be 6 to the right and 6 down. I would be 6 to the right and 6 down also. Once you do 1 point, all the other points follow the same translation rule. Does everyone understand that? So to save us time and effort and money and triangles and sides and everything, we're not going to put all the points. We're going to just put 1 point and pretend like the other points are just going to follow along. Do you guys understand that? So we're just going to put 1 point on an imaginary triangle. Now, I'm going to be careful here because I'm going to be doing this more than once. Notice, guys, I got to go 8 down and I got to go 4 to the right. So 8 down, I better start pretty high because I want to stem 5 to the right. 8 down and 5 to the right. So I want to start my original point pretty high and pretty left because if I don't, what will happen is I'll go off my graph. You guys understand that? So I can start my original point anywhere, but what I want to do is make sure that I stay on my graph. So I'm going to put it right here. I want everyone to put the original pre-image point at -4, -4, +3. And I'm going to call that P for pre-image point. Okay. So that's where I'm going to start. Now, you have to understand, I could have started anywhere in this graph right here, but I chose to start way over here in this top left because I know I'm going to have to go 8 to the, I know I'm going to have to go 5 down and 8 left, right? Okay. So first thing we're going to do, well, we'll see. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go 5 units to the right and 2 units up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go 5 to the right and 2 units up. So I'm going to go 5 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to go 2 units up. 1, 2. And that's going to put me right here at the very top of my graph. Do you guys agree with me on that? You guys agree with that? Okay, I'm going to erase those. Okay. What should we call that new point, guys? We started with P. Our pre-image was P. What should we call this point?
Q.
How about P prime? Right? We translate. Don't we go from pre-image to don't we put a prime on it to show that? Now we're not done because then it says the image is translated 3 left and 8 down. So now we're going to take P prime and we're going to move it 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to move it 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, that's not P prime anymore. We did it twice. So what do you think we should do? How about P double prime? Let's put 2 little prime symbols. You guys understand that? Okay. So what did we do, guys? We took P and we moved it over here to get P prime. And then we took P prime and we moved it over here using these rules to get P double prime. Now, what is the question asking? Let me highlight the final thing that it's asking. Write a translation of the original to the ending position. Okay, so which one of these is the original? P, P prime, or P double prime?
P double prime.
P double prime is where we ended. What's the original starting point? P. What's the ending point?
P double prime.
P double prime. So what we're going to do is we're not really even going to care about P prime. We're just going to go from P prime to P double prime, starting to ending. P prime was just kind of the middle thing that we don't need. You guys see that? So how would we do that? Well, let me do it a different color. We'll forget to P double prime. We got to move 1, 2. So we got to move 2 to the right. Does everyone see that? And then what do we have to do? We have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. So to get from the original to the ending position, you just go 2 right, 6 down. But you had to do the whole thing to get there. You have to graph it out. And then at the end, you figure out the starting to the ending. Okay. You need the middle one, okay, just to follow along. You guys see that? Are there any questions? Ms. V, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Where did you just randomly decide to pick P? You just put a point on there.
I randomly chose P over here because I knew I was looking at that. I knew I was going to have to go a bunch to the right and a bunch down. If I would have put P down here, I'd be off the graph. Does that make sense? So that's the hardest part, is to figure out where to start, because you can start anywhere you want. Okay, does that make sense? Guys, do you understand Miss V's question? Okay, it's a good question. Yep. Okay, let's move on. Everyone flip your paper over. That's translations. You will be tested over that next week. Hopefully not on Cassius's birthday. Okay, yep. We're really hoping not to give Cassius a test. But Cassius, sometimes having a test on your birthday is really fun. Okay. All right. Now, okay, guys. Now I want you guys to think about this. Okay? Okay? I want you to think about this. We just did we practiced our first transformation. And our first transformation on that first page was translations or slides. We were sliding points and shapes around. You guys understand that? Okay. Now we're going to move on to reflections. Now, reflections. So now we're not going to slide things. On number 6, we're going to reflect things. We're going to flip. So now we're flipping. Page 1, we slide. Page 2, we flip. Now, in order to flip something or reflect something, we need to know what we're going to reflect over. On this page, we're going to reflect over 2 major lines on our graph, our x-axis and our y-axis. Does everyone understand that? Okay, so this one says we're going to reflect over the x-axis. Okay, normally if I wasn't recording this, I'd call on someone. But right now, what I want everyone to do is I want you to highlight the x-axis right here. Now, if you have a highlighter, great. If you don't, all you're going to do is just shade it in darker with your pencil. So I want everyone to shade that in, because that's going to be the line you're going to reflect over, because it tells us that. In order to do a reflection, you have to have a line of reflection. Does everyone understand that? So on number 6, I want everyone to darken the x-axis. Aiden, get your head up, please. Okay, and revise the x-axis because it tells us that. Does everyone see we're highlighting the x-axis? We're taking our pencil and going over it and making it dark. That helps us because I think it's really easy. You don't even need your rules on this. If you have a graph and you know what line you're going to reflect it over, it's very easily visually seen. So how do we reflect something over the x-axis? Well, the first thing that we do is we measure a point from the flip line. Well, I'm going to start with R. You guys understand that? I'm going to start with R. Now, the way I do it is R is 2 units up from the flip line. So R prime, ladies and gentlemen, I'll do it in red. R prime is going to be 2 units down from the flip line. So R prime is going to be right here. Does everyone see that? Now, we do have rules in our notebook that work, and we'll use those in a little while. But I think it's sometimes just easy to see it, visually see it. Okay. Yep, got to do the x-axis. That's why I had you highlight the x-axis, Finn. Yep. Okay, now the same thing with P. P is 4 units up from the flip line. So P prime is going to be 4 units down from the flip line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do that in red. So it's going to be right here. P prime is going to be down here. Y'all see that? Any questions? And Q is 2 units up from the flip line here. So Q prime is going to be 2 units down from the flip line here. So Q prime is going to be 2 units down. Are there any questions on that? Now you're going to use your straight edge. And I need to write Microsoft and tell them how bad their line maker tool is. It is absolutely ridiculously bad, their line maker tool. I'm going to try to make a straight line, but it's probably not going to work. And I'm going to get mad, but I'm going to try one more time. So I'm going to use a line maker tool, and I'm going to try to make a nice, pretty straight line, and it won't work. And I'll get mad, Gracie. All right, here we go. Ready? Well, that kind of works. It just sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. It's just such a terrible line maker tool. All right. I would think Microsoft would make a good line maker tool. All right, here we go. I need to call Bill Gates and tell him. All right. You guys ready? Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, it should look like that. Okay. Guys, here's the deal. Those two triangles are congruent of each other, right? I could absolutely cut out the red one, flip it over, and put it exactly on the black triangle, right, guys? See that? Okay, so the next problem is going to be you. I'm going to actually pause this video and let you guys do it, and then we'll talk about it. What I need you to do is, first of all, what are we reflecting number 7 over, guys? Read the question. The y-axis, okay? So what I want you guys to do now is the y-axis is right here. So I want everyone to darken in the y-axis. And now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to let my class that's in person right here, I want you guys to go ahead and and graph your shapes. So let me pause it. I'll give you guys a second. Okay. Do pause. Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and do this. A lot of my in-person kids are doing well here. I feel like I'm teaching remote again with all my absences now. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, now notice F is 1 unit away from the flip line. So F prime is going to be 1 unit this way of the flip line. So F prime is going to be right here. Y'all see that? G is 1 unit to the right of the left of the flip line. So G prime is going to be 1 unit to the right of the flip line. G prime. Now let's do E. E is 1, 2, 3 units to the left of the flip line. So G prime is going to be 1, 2, 3 units to the right of the flip line. Okay. H is 3 units to the left of the flip line. 1, 2, 3. So H prime is going to be 1, 2, 3 units to the right of the flip line. And then you're going to get something that looks like this. Now I'm going to use my line maker tool. Hopefully I don't get too angry about it. Oh, that's pretty good. Not great. Just so not user friendly. And then I'm going to use my other line maker tool. That's terrible. Then I just got mad. I don't want to keep dealing with it. Okay. It just kind of moves and stuff, and I don't like that. So now I'm just going to freehand it. Yours is going to look way better than mine because I'm not using a straight edge. I'm just freehanding it, and it's not as good as yours, but it should look something like this. So class, please raise your hand if you have these two shapes. You guys see that? Are there any questions there? Guys, we kind of see that? Does that make sense? Okay. All right, I'm going to pause the video really quick. Okay. All right, now, stop. The next concept is very simple. Okay, it says the next concept is a very simple concept. It's asking, did you reflect over the x-axis or the y? Well, if you look, guys, where's the flip line? The flip line is right here. It's halfway in between the two shapes. It's this blue line right here. Is that the x-axis or the y-axis? That is the x-axis. That's all you have to say. That's really easy, right? That's the x-axis. Okay. All right. Okay. So what we did on this one, let me read the question here. It says, find the coordinates of the figure after reflecting over the x-axis. Now, on this one, ladies and gentlemen, the problem here is we don't have a graph to visually see it. So now we're going to have to use our rules. Now, I just called on one of my students when I paused it, and my student said the rule is keep sign on x value. And if you don't have this, you can write it right here. Change sign on y value. Okay, so this is what one of the students said. And another way to say it is keep x, change y. Keep x, change y. And we're talking about signs, right? We're not swapping anything like that. That'll be on our rotation stuff. Okay, so we're going to keep x, change y. So in this case, if I keep x on t, I just leave it alone. That's a 1. But I'm going to change the y value on t. I'm going to change this y value right here. It's going to be -1. I'm going to change it to a +1. So t prime is going to be 1, 1. Okay, guys see that? Okay. U prime, I'm going to keep x, which is 4, and I'm going to change y. Well, it's a +2, so that's going to be a -2. So it's 4, -2. See that? And then v prime, I'm going to keep x, which is 6, and then I'm going to change -2 to a +2. So t prime is 1, 1. U prime is 4, -2, and v prime is 6, 2. Now, I think I'm going to end this video here. We're going to call this, we're going to name 5.4 through 5.7 Stylations Part 1. We'll call that, and we'll post it as a video. So I'll stop sharing. We'll finish the rest of this and call it Part 2 tomorrow.